This is lumbar plexus. You see, this is one line. This is the two line. This is the midline. Sorry, this is the posterior superior leg spine. And go here. We are taking. This is the line. You are taking 1/3 lateral, 2/3 medial. This is the injection point for lumbar plexus. See, you will hit the transverse process. I am hitting the transverse process. Now I will go caudal direction, but I am not getting the twitch. Again, bone, transverse process. Now we will switch to the cephalic position. You see, we will get that twitch. See, this is a very easy again. Yes, this is lumbar plexus block. Now this is sciatic block, same patient. This is a proximal approach. See, this is. Now this is important. So what is the here? The incision comes from here. The HRA, hemi replacement artery, from here to here, isn't it? Now this part is not covered by the plexus block or sciatic nerve block. So the surgeon or you can infiltrate that area because this area is supplied by the subcostal nerve and some ilioinguinal, sometimes iliohacus nerve also. So that cannot be said as a failure. So this patient that was solely done under the block. Okay. So if you were sir, this cardiac block, the ilioinguinal.
Okay, I think that's the end of section. Any comments?
Yeah. A few questions I had in mind. Huh?
Very easy.
Very easy, simple, very simple. I feel we have had a fantastic demonstration. What can be done, what goes on in India rather, and what goes on in the UK. Just a question, sir. There was some talk like if your patient is given an epidural or spinal, the patient goes to an ICU, whereas the patient given blocks does not go to an ICU.
Yeah. No, this is actually in some centers they want the patients whoever is getting intrathecal opiates or they need to be monitored. In the center where Tushar worked, they probably want the patients. It also depends on the staff in the ward. Like our staff, they have been trained. So we got acute pain teams, and then they train the staff. So I cannot send a patient to a ward where the staff is not trained. They will not take the patient. So the patients have to be there. We have a chart exactly like PCA chart. We have epidural chart. Same thing with the blocks. Block charts. If you put in catheters, you need to actually have a chart for monitoring like PCA chart. So they have to maintain that. And for that, they need to be trained. So the nurses actually do the training. If they're trained, they can take the patient to the ward. If not, HDU or YITU.
Is there any pressure from the NHS that because they want to keep costs low, you prefer anesthetists who can give blocks rather
It's
than
all
epidural?
patient. The NHS care is all about patient. If the patient say, I want to go to sleep, you have to put them to sleep. Even if it means the cost is there, you have to. It's all about patient choice. So when you actually go and actually ask them, so you need to actually develop a service like Senthil has developed. He's developed a service for upper limbs where all patients are done. You need to prove to the patient that it can be done, it is fine. He puts headphones. There was actually, if you've seen the recent thing, it came in the news and he had an interview where he's showing patients they're listening to music while they're having a surgery. So that need to be actually communicated. Surgeons are the best person to tell because there is a disparity in what we do. Like for everything, they want to go to sleep, but if you ask for knee replacement, they want a spinal. Why? Because the surgeon have been telling them. They want a spinal. The patient can wake up within no time. You can assess the patient neurology or no time. They don't want blocks. So it can be actually has to be patient education.
Yeah. Our epidurals rates for abdominal surgeries have gone down. So we actually had a meeting and discussion with the pain team. The pain team said, what's happening? Is it because patients are? It's two things. One, consent form. We have now got a written consent, which tells everything. It tells you can get paraplegic, you can get this. Patient gets scared, don't want epidural. Yeah. And second thing is using your tap blocks and rectus sheath blocks. Regarding the question, no blocks in patient staying. There is no need for the patients to stay beyond 2 hours after any nerve block, because the peak plasma concentration after a nerve block, most of the peripheral nerve blocks, upper limb blocks, occurs within an hour.
and then they are quite safe to go home. For example, in my practice, almost every Monday I do the whole upper limb list. It'll be about 6 to 10 upper limb surgeries, right from elbow fracture and all this kind of stuff. They all come as day case, 8 o'clock in the morning. They get a block, and we play some music, and then they have a bit of tea and toasty, and by lunchtime they'll be home.
Okay.
So there is no criteria to sort of
I feel
keep
unfortunately
them.
in India you don't get this sort of patients. Patients want to stay for 2 days, 4 days, 5 days. So I feel most of us anesthetists in India are more keen, chalo spinal epidural de do yaar khatam karo. I mean, in private practice I feel that's what most of the patients want.
When I was freelancing in Bangalore, the surgeons used to tell me, please put an epidural. Because what sells to the world is that this patient was pain-free.
Exactly.
So he preferred for hip and knee, he used to ask me to put epidurals. I mean, I used to go very low concentration, 0.1%, but when the patient goes back and tells his relatives or friends, he tells it was pain-free. So that's what sells,
Exactly. In India,
so
that's what we do.
it's different
Epidural is many a times for post-op analgesia rather than the intra-op.
Yeah.
The
it's
intra-op is
different.
taken care of by the spinal many a time, especially when
Yeah.
you're doing CSE.
Exactly.
But epidural definitely post-op.
So it's up to the patient perspective and what happens in your local culture or
exactly.
whatever it is.
Exactly.
Don't have to blindly follow the West.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I feel we have had a wonderful session.
Short of time, many people
I
will
feel I'll
be leaving.
hand over.
Yeah, you can always chat on tea, please.
Yes,
I
thank
think,
you.
sir, we can just go ahead with our next
Yeah.
session and then have tea. That will be the last, I think.
Okay, so who's got it? Next one is on the freelancers, the problems with freelancing and thing. Yeah, have we got the guys who panel from the panel? You want to come up? Who's Dr. Alok? Yeah. He's the moderator. आप जाके बैठिए. आप तो boss हैं.
Those who have not collected certificate, please collect it.
तू भी आ जा.
So we are closing the registration counter.
See, very shortly you will be having a book from Surajit titled Very Easy Blocks, and the author name will be Pop Surajit. So the next conference you will be having an upgraded version, very easy blocks by Pop Bounce Pop Surajit.
Bounce and very easy. Yeah.
Just want to say bye to everyone and thank you very much. I had a great time these 2 days and have a great time.
Thank you, Purnima.
See,
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
whole society is thankful to my senior consultant anesthesiologist, Dr. K. Lalita, on whose name all these things was a book. So she, please give her a big hand. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
doctor.
you. Thanks.
Yeah, no, let's do. Yeah, let's there. What's wrong? Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, come on. Oh. Okay. Yeah, you can just talk from there. Yeah.
Come, Chintu. I'll just talk about solutions, do's and don'ts. I prepared so much. No. Let him come to us. There's nobody to listen to. Yesterday they wanted this topic, but lots of girls wanted to have it.
Next time, next time we'll again keep this topic. Variety of
Yeah, everybody's leaving before. You're talking middle level or personal? You're talking personal life?
Any discussion, don't be they want.
I have
कौन सा है ये सबसे बंदे तो बचे नहीं, किसके लिए डिस्कशन करेंगे?
You should make it fast, otherwise even the 10 people will go away.
कौन सा है तो ये
Here you
हाँ
can
ये
see
डाउन ये स्पीकर प्लीज. So, thanks for the honor of bringing the curtains down on this wonderful event. I hope I'll do justice to this extraordinary phenomenon that we've just experienced over the past 2 days. Since we have shortage of time, I'll be rushing through. Just giving an overview about the challenges faced by freelancers in our country, and then we have the distinguished panel who would be elaborating on a few of those aspects. So first, who is a freelancer? A freelancer is a self-employed person working for several employers on particular assignments. If you draw a parallel in other professions, a freelance consultant, a freelance journalist, they would be dictating terms contrary to a freelancer in our profession. What are the implications of freelancing? What should be the benefits? Actually translates to problems, miseries, and challenges, or simply exploitation by several employers. The beginning is full of hope, dreams, and ambition. The transformation, overburdened, pitiable, remorseful state. Freelance is a career option which each one of us faces after qualifying in the specialty. It's something similar to a stock market. If it works, it's a perfect bull run. Unfortunately, mostly bears dominate. Is it really a viable alternative? Let's look at the life cycle of a freelancer. Challenges, stress, poor performance, low achievements, low self-esteem, grave consequences, leads to more challenges. Now, what are these challenges we are talking of? The types of challenges. We could classify them according to the stage of practice one is in, a beginner, a middle level, or a senior practitioner. At the professional level, we could face challenges in the pre-op, per-operative, or the post-operative phases. And last but not the least, challenges in personal life, education, family life, and finances. Challenges for the beginners. Lack of faith among surgeons who are the de facto employers, calls only for minor cases or as substitutes for regulars. There is continuous scrutiny, evaluation, and comparison. Greater domination by surgeons, threat of government doctors in illegal practices, inadequate, inconsistent flow of work, and professional and economic insecurity. And how does this poor beginner react to it? He has to gain ground, which is the most important goal. He has to grow in life. So he compromises on patient assessment, accepts adverse working conditions, exposes himself to hazards, willingness to work at unearthly hours, sacrifices family life, and highly compromised remuneration to remain in the business. Challenges at the middle level, increasing frequency of calls for demanding cases, neonates, pediatric cases, adult cases with multiple comorbidities, lack of professional support of a team, pressure of maintaining time, unqualified so-called OT technicians. All these apparently increase risk-taking ability, which can become counterproductive. Challenges at the senior level, expectations are very high, top-notch performance has to be delivered, errors can be embarrassing, they are expected to be updated about the latest in the academics, calls for rescue operations and or failure by another person, maintaining enviable status in the fraternity, tackling a persuasive friendly surgeon, and pressure of maintaining time. Professional challenges. Preoperative issues plagued by no system of a pre-anesthetic checkup. You called for a case, you just walk in, you anesthetize. Not allowed to communicate with the patient. PAC is usually on the OT table, and you have to deal with a tutored patient. Refusal will obviously breed negative vibes. Obtaining a high-risk consent is impractical. Package deals lead to financial constraints, and the maximum brunt is borne by the anesthesiologist. We were witness to that yesterday afternoon. Laparoscopies under spinal anesthesia. Unavailability of support services, recent trend of daycare surgeries all add to the problems. Per-operative issues include lack of infrastructure, shortage of manpower, drugs, equipment, absence of systems, protocols, coercion and persuasion to modify technique of anesthesia, citing financial constraints. Shortage of manpower, less number of staff, medics, paramedics, all included, unqualified, on-the-job trained multipurpose workers, crippled with no helping hands, additional responsibilities like being a pediatrician in a cesarean section, operating a CIAM as a CIAM technician, also being a circulating nurse, and to top it all, to be an OT staff trainer. Lack of facilities, inadequate OT size, lack of basic equipment, absence of advanced gadgets, non-availability of essential drugs, improper labels, no cataloging, no checks on expiry dates, improper maintenance, non-existent or a faulty power backup. Lack of systems include absence of protocols, non-adherence to protocols, biased by decades of experience, evidence-based medicine takes a back seat. Cosmetic upgradation is a topmost priority of these so-called healthcare centers, so that who believe strongly in the first impression being the last impression. Hence, critical areas suffer. Post-operative challenges. No post-operative recovery room, HDU or an ICU, compromised transportation after surgery, poor monitoring, lack of gadgets, medics, paramedics, inability to recognize early warning signals, more complications, more adverse outcomes. Difficult to obtain consent for elective ventilation. Adverse events leading to death, incomplete and doctored documentation, wrath of patients' attendants. What went wrong is the question when an adverse event happens. Anesthesia went wrong. The inevitable answer. So having a look at the professional aspect, we must take a look at the personal life of these budding, energetic, looking at a bright future. What happens to their personal life? Does he have a personal life? Those precious moments everyone wants to cherish are sacrificed at the altar of ambition. Personal challenges include unpredictable and inadequate work and finances, constant race against time, frequent untimely calls, inability to plan one's day, onus of punctuality is only on the anesthetist, easily replaceable, not indispensable, leading to stress, low esteem. There is a distinct apartheid vis-a-vis the patient providers. Quality time is always at a premium. Earning only when working obviously implies there is no sick leave, no vacations, no time to attend CMEs. ABC of practice is the most important. A for availability, B for behavior, and C for competence unfortunately takes the back seat. Family deprivation syndromes set in. There's no quality time with spouse, no track of one child's life, and gradual withdrawal from social circles. Compounded by financial burdens. The discrimination is evident because there is lack of standard tariff. You may have a kickstart early in the career, but an early plateau is also the truth. Better packages from the patients usually do not percolate down to the anesthesiologist, the attitude being take it or leave it. Parity at the time of adverse outcome, whenever there is a compensation to be paid, then parity is restored. Then it is not considered that when you were to pay the anesthetist, you were paying less, but at the time of compensation, one has to put in equally. There is definitely an academic stagnation. A person preoccupied with so many problems, besieged with so many problems, does not have the time nor the will to pursue his academics. So the burden of availability strangles the quest for knowledge. Where ignorance is a bliss, it's folly to be wise. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Consequences: no CMEs, training programs, lack of educational exchanges, slow or no upgradation, no knowledge pearls to show in a forum, hesitation to embrace newer drugs and technology, vicious cycle leading to despondency, again leading to low self-esteem. So in summary, the list of problems would include insecurity, lack of systems, poor infrastructure, erratic schedules, race against time, risk of assaults, unfair remunerations, no holidays, dwindling social life, no academics. So after having looked at the grim picture, we have to look ahead. Do we have solutions? One way to look at it is, don't worry, be happy. Next alternative, equip yourself, formulate guidelines, evolve group practices, professional indemnity insurances, and social security. Over the years, some differences in the positive direction have been observed. Because of frequent mishaps and litigations, certain legislations have come in. We started practice when it was not mandatory to have basic equipment. Fortunately, today, the presence of an anesthesia machine is a must to start a healthcare setup. There have been initiations of some practice groups, emergence of more advanced centers, even at the non-corporate level, have led to a more coordinated work schedule and a marginal improvement in the quality of life. So the message is, you have to unite against this diversity to be able to have the best out of the constraints that you are faced with. Now I would request Madam Rajagopalan, she being a senior consultant, a senior level practitioner, her inputs on freelancing.
Yeah, he has put forth all the challenges, and it's not so bad. Freelance practicing is not so bad as he mentioned. There are solutions. I've been freelance practicing for quite a few years, and at senior level, we do have a lot of problems, like mistakes that you make can be very embarrassing, and you forget that you're a senior. You get your junior self. If you're the senior most person, try to get your junior self if you don't have any senior. And whatever challenges are there, try to get when you're earning a lot of money. Equip yourself. Buy the gadgets. We buy the gadgets. Equip the nursing homes that you go to. And you form crisis committee. Every district we are forming crisis committee. When a junior is in trouble, you go with the team, help him. When he needs help for intubation, you go. When you need help, when you don't have a proper theatrist, and call your junior and share your fees. These are the ways I do things. And shed all your ego and go to your juniors. I learnt my LMA. When I did my PG, it was 80s. We didn't hear of LMAs. I learnt my LMA in session only from my junior. Shed all your inhibitions, learn from your juniors. Keep yourself updated. And join the anesthetist forum, attend the TACON conferences, update yourself. Don't miss it. Yeah. And whenever you're busy, and don't hesitate to, if you get another call, send your junior or colleague. Share your business with others. So surgeons look high upon you, that you're not after money all the time. Race against time, like you're attending one case and you get a call from another nursing home. Don't just leave this case or tell the surgeon you shift and I'm going for the next case and things like that. In front of the surgeon, you take your phone and say, I am busy with one case. You please call so and so for the other case. so that you get your junior support also when you need. So these are the ways I practice. And at my level, days are gone when you run from one case to another. So these are, equip yourself. I buy all the things that I need, like I have a lot of video laryngoscopes, bogies, whatever I want, I buy. And some of the practitioners, they have a lot of money. They buy even ultrasound. They buy ultrasound. So it's not so bad as we think. And I have certain do's and don'ts. We all know about do's. Should be, yeah. Do's are, you should be available, you should be able, you should be affable. It's a business. You give them the best customer service. Involve in all aspects of patient management, starting from admission up to discharge. You are the perioperative physicians. So whenever they ask you doubts on medicine, you are the one. They won't go to a physician. You tell them what you know. Till the patient gets discharged, you involve yourself. And stick on to the standards, minimum mandatory standards that are named by the ISA. Yeah. Yeah.
Last words. Freelancing is actually ought to be free. So we have to be free from our mind, from our mindset, and actually for that ABC should be C first. Competence should be first. So for that, what you have to do? You have to update through whatever you mean.
Please.
It can be done in freelancing also, not only in academics.
Dr. Sushil, your take on freelance?
You have to.
Freelancing is not for free, sir. That's the final thing.
All right, thank you very much. We come to the close. Thank you very much for everyone for attending. It was wonderful. It was all fantastic. Claps to everyone.